He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Hello, I'm Simon Morris. I once admitted that often when I review a movie, I'm mostly reviewing the actors, or perhaps I should say the performances. Actors often take the credit for an awful lot of other people's work. The director, wardrobe and makeup, stunt performers, and, if you must, the scriptwriter. But to be fair, they also get much of the blame when things go wrong. Thank goodness they're paid a fortune to get over it.
We're ruined. We're all ruined.
You can't release this picture.
We've got to. We're booked open in 6 weeks all over the country. But you're such big stars, we might get by.
Never want to see that Lockwood and Lamont again. Wasn't it awful?
This is the worst picture ever made.
There may be a limited number of plots available, some say a dozen, some say fewer, but the range of humanity is endless. What makes a romance or a heist movie or a mistaken identity comedy special is the people they're happening to.
What the hell did you bring her out here for? Well, one, I may have suffered a slight concussion.
Oh my God!
Two, I've had no choice.
You pull over and get out of the car.
No.
Well, why not?
I'm feeling very fragile at the moment. I don't think I should be alone.
Three, she's mentally unbalanced to a spectacular degree.
I can hear you.
The reason I have fond memories of a routine action comedy called Bandits is the performances. Bruce Willis, Billy Bob Thornton, and a young, very funny Australian actress called Cate Blanchett. But they're only part of the equation. Without a script giving them something to say, those expensive actors are all whistling in the dark.
The heart is labyrinthine, a maze beset with brutal pitfalls and mean obstacles. David, I can't say that line. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. I don't get it.
It's just a stylish way of expressing a particular idea.
Idea?
Right?
What idea?
Or are they? One person who's always keen to let actors develop their own characters is veteran English filmmaker Mike Leigh. He spends months working with his cast and then shapes a film around what they come up with. Leigh's latest, Hard Truths, lets actor Marianne Jean-Baptiste have her head.
You can't go in or out of a supermarket without being harassed by those grinning, cheerful charity workers begging you for money for their stupid causes. Why they got to skin their teeth like that?
Meanwhile, American director Steven Soderbergh returns to a favourite genre, the character-based spy drama. Coincidentally, Black Bag also stars Cate Blanchett, though these days Cate tends to stay away from comedy.
And you think one of them took it?
Possibly.
It's been a while since we had a traitor to dinner. At least knowingly.
Also this week, a historical drama set in 16th century England, Firebrand. One thing about the Tudor period, for just about the first time in English history, women took the stage. Apart from Henry VIII's two daughters, Mary and Elizabeth, who each later inherited the throne, there were his famous 6 wives.
He would never do anything without asking you first.
Oh, Kit, what's this woman to you? She was a radical. She was a fanatic, preaching...
Her death is on your soul.
Firebrand is about Henry's last wife, Catherine Parr, who achieved the major feat of surviving him. But first, Mike Leigh's back with a one-woman wrecking crew in Hard Truths.
Look at you. Fix your face. You're dealing with the public, handling people's food.
Stop! Please.
Oh, you can pipe down and all standing there like an ostrich.
For all the huge respect English director Mike Leigh's gathered over the years, he also divides audiences sharply. He's been nominated many times for an Oscar, films like Vera Drake, Topsy Turvy, Happy Go Lucky, and his most popular film Secrets and Lies. But his latest, Hard Truths, was snubbed by the Academy this year, even though it was showered with accolades elsewhere.
People. Can't stand them. Cheerful, grinning people.
Particularly for its lead performance, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who made her name in Secrets and Lies as it happens. In Hard Truths, she plays Pansy, who can be summed up in one word. She's angry. Angry all the time.
Loitering out there, demanding your hard-earned cash. It's a scam. They're scamming people.
Pansy wakes up each morning with a panicky yell and then carries on like that for the rest of the day. She terrorises both her husband Curtly and their son Moses into silence whenever they're together. Moses spends his time in his room with his computer, though he does go for a walk every day.
Mum, I'll see you in a bit.
Where do you think you're going?
For a walk.
People are going to accuse you of loitering with intent.
Meanwhile, Curtly is a plumber who's out of the house most of the time. Just as well, you might say. There's not a lot of what you call conversation going on at home, if by conversation you mean more than one person talking.
Your sister called me.
Who?
Chantel.
I know who my sister is, thank you very much. When are you going to settle down?
Why, you have somebody for me?
Yes, Jesus.
At least he was a single man.
By contrast with Pansy's endless hostility, there's her upbeat sister Chantel. Chantel's a hairdresser and can also be summed up in one word. She's cheerful. She's very cheerful. She chats cheerfully with her clients. She's got 2 cheerful daughters. She even tries to be cheerful with her sister.
Do you want to come to the flat on Sunday? The girls would like to see you.
You know I've got health issues. I might spend the day lying in bed.
Now here's my question. Because Pansy is so unrelentingly furious with everyone, you might be forgiven for thinking we're going somewhere with this. There are clearly problems in her past, hers and Chantel's, that led to her locking herself away while her sister happily went out in the world.
Am I seeing you?
What?
On Sunday at the cemetery, you come in.
I don't know. I said I'd confirm.
Well, confirm now, innit?
I'll confirm when I confirm. I'm not confirming. I'll call you back.
Hello?
But that's not how Mike Leigh works. No easy answers, it says on his calling card. There may be mental health issues here, but we don't know because Leigh's characters don't know how to ask. How can Pansy fight her way out of her hostility and depression? Well, once again, that's not where Hard Truths is going.
She makes everything about her. She's rude, man.
I've been harassed by people all day. I'm sick to death of it.
There may not be easy answers, but it can't be denied there are some pretty easy questions. When Leigh and his actors, notably a brilliant Marianne Jean-Baptiste as Pansy, first devised the character, they seem to have stopped at she could start a fight in an empty room. Is this enough? Well, not for me.
I just want it to all stop.
Why are you so angry? Why can't you enjoy life?
I don't know.
I had a similar feeling about another award-winning Mike Leigh movie, Happy-Go-Lucky, despite a terrific starring performance by Sally Hawkins. She did her best, but her character still boiled down to happy all the time. That was it. Well, here's the companion piece.
I asked one of them, I said, why do you want my postcode? I might as well just give you my front door key so you can bruck into my house, teeth out my things, and kill my only child.
Pansy is unhappy all the time. Actually, it's fascinating watching audiences' reactions to the character. Some find her hilarious as she fires broadsides in all directions like a particularly aggressive stand-up comedian. But others just see the despair of her near and dear as they try and get to the bottom of what's bothering her. There's clearly something.
You worry me, you know.
Pansy, what's going on?
I'm so lonely.
What are we going to do about it?
And without getting to the bottom of it, what's the point? I found myself increasingly at odds with Hard Truths despite the rave reviews and copious award nominations. What does Pansy want? Does she want anything? Is there any hope for poor Curtly under the barrage of incoherent abuse from his wife? Do you believe the slightly arbitrary possibility of a happy ending for one of the characters at the end? I certainly didn't.
I don't understand you, but I love you.
I like Marianne Jean-Baptiste. I admire the fact that she refused to soften the character of Pansy and took her to the end of the line. But every time Sister Chantel, a great performance by the lovely Michelle Austen, appeared, then left the scene, I just wanted to go with her. At least her truths weren't as hard as everyone else's.
And her over there with that fat baby, parading it around in the little outfit, not dressed for the weather, nah, with pockets. What's the baby got pockets for? What's it going to keep in its pocket?
Spy stories come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. There's James Bond and his descendants, of course, tongue-in-cheek action thrillers with gadgets galore. And there are their polar opposites, bleak and grimy realism featuring spies going into the cold.
How long do you think you'll need? Give me 2 weeks. Thousands of innocent people will die. Okay, 1 week.
Steven Soderbergh's new film Black Bag clearly aspires to the credibility of the latter films. No gadgets, no missions impossible. But at its heart is a situation that depends on pretty heavy suspension of disbelief. Two married spies, George and Catherine, one of whom is required to investigate the other.
Where are you off to?
Black bag.
Right. You asked how it works. To be with someone in this business, this is how.
George is played by Michael Fassbender with Michael Caine Ipcress file glasses. Catherine is Cate Blanchett, wearing the sort of sleek, fashionable attire Mata Hari might wear if she lived in present-day Mayfair. They generally work apart, keeping their marriage intact on a need-to-know basis. Don't ask, don't tell. Black bag.
You each know what you know, and you know what you'll do, and you never discuss certain things again. I watch her, I assume she watches me.
They work in a subdivision of MI6 with various other spooks, many of whom also seem to be married or at least together. And there's been a leak. A vital MacGuffin has been stolen, one that can destroy everything if it falls into the wrong hands.
You got a breach. What did you do?
One of our people stole something.
Something extremely valuable.
You cannot imagine the damage. Find the leak.
George has been given the job of tracing the leaker and decides there's only one way to get at the truth. He has to invite the 6 top suspects to dinner. A few drinks and the guilty party will be singing like a canary, surely. So who's on the suspect guest list?
I understand this is not the casual dinner you'd prefer.
Yeah, it's an unusual group. Data scraper, 2 agents, and the in-house shrink.
OK, so there's Agent Freddy, there's always a Freddy in a spy movie, and there's MI6 psychiatrist Zoe, played by Naomi Harris, who's already got spy form as Moneypenny in the Bond films. There's James and Clarissa. Does that come to 6? Not quite.
Who's the suspect?
Your wife.
I can feel when you're watching me.
Sorry.
I like it.
You've guessed it, the last suspect is Mrs. George, Catherine, which you'd think would disqualify George from conducting the investigation. Well, no, because black bag, apparently. So welcome to an evening of fun and games with George and Catherine. And any similarity to the equally poisonous dinner in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is quite deliberate. Thanks, Stephen. I got it.
How many civilians died as a result?
Greater good.
Yeah, I don't find amorality attractive.
Then give up either your profession or your sex life.
I give it 2 weeks.
Before long, all the guests are at each other's throats and in one case pinning hands to a table. But sadly, the outcome of the dinner from hell is inconclusive.
I need a satellite redirect, but this has to be unofficial.
You are one naughty husband, George.
You think this isn't normal? The way you're doing this, just so you know.
So George has to turn to more traditional investigation to find out who done it, and more important, was it his wife? Though in fact everyone now looks pretty suspicious, especially their boss.
Maybe this is all your greatest game, George.
It's a very dangerous line of work.
I'll say.
Pierce Brosnan looks like James Bond would look if he were promoted to a desk job, wealthy but disgruntled. But as Black Bag settles down into a standard pick-the-baddie mystery, it starts to depend more and more on our caring who that is.
What's on the menu?
Fun and games.
Is it true? No one can lie to you?
I don't like liars.
The secret of successful spooks dramas, like TV's Spooks Say or The Peerless Slow Horses, is to pretend as if the most important thing is the spy stuff. But while all the tradecraft, triple bluffs and secret passwords are what they're talking about, really we only care about the characters.
If a situation presents itself, would you choose your marriage over everything else?
My devotion to my marriage is my professional weakness. Love you.
And in Black Bag, there aren't any. Not really. I mean, there's George and Catherine, who are unshakably in love with each other, we're told, and are clearly compromised as spies. But, well, Black Bag, and so don't worry about it.
If she's in trouble, even of her own making, I will do everything in my power to extricate her. No matter what that means. You understand?
My God, that's so hot.
I wanted to care a bit more about them, about any of the characters really, but by the end all I wanted was someone to point at the guilty party and put us out of our misery. Well, that's the bad news. The good news is that there's a new series of Slow Horses shortly to show films like Black Bag how it's done.
Would you kill for me, George? Would you?
I have a weakness for historical movies, even though I'm well aware that their accuracy can be unreliable. Characters are modernised, attitudes of the past have been tidied up too to spare the feelings of today's audiences. Well, Firebrand is not immune from that.
In a rotten, blood-soaked island kingdom, there once was a queen by the name of Catherine Parr. She was the sixth wife of the vengeful King Henry VIII.
Firebrand is the story of one of the lesser-known six wives of Henry VIII, though Catherine Parr turns out to have been rather more significant than the more famous Catherine of Aragon, say, or Anne Boleyn. The opening line of the movie tells us history is usually devoted to wars and men. Well, the Tudors changed much of that.
I won't be patron to heretics.
He will kill me like he did my mother.
He would never do that to you. Do you hear me?
The 5 wives who came before her all met untimely ends.
When Henry was away, fighting a small war in Europe, he did something unusual. He handed the regency, the rule of England, to his wife. He clearly had a lot of respect for Catherine, as did his 3 children, young Edward, Mary and Elizabeth. Elizabeth is the film's narrator.
But Catherine's fate was to change the kingdom forever.
Catherine Parr differed from Henry's previous wives in more ways than one. She's had a life, for one thing. She'd been married and widowed twice before she married the king. And she had opinions, notably about the church. She was also a published author, another first for a queen.
We must rise up and take what is ours.
We found Anne preaching to a large group.
It is not for those above us to tell us what to believe.
The way she spoke, it excited me.
In Firebrand, she's inspired by the Firebrand of the title, a radical woman preacher called Anne Askew. Radical and indiscreet, both potentially fatal qualities for anyone in the Tudor era, even a queen.
His confidence in your weakness is what keeps you safe.
What would you have me do?
I would have you pull his head from his neck.
He's demanding evidence against her that she betrayed him.
Catherine! Are you lying?
Of course I'm not.
Are you a liar? Are you a liar?
Anne Askew has the very good fortune to be played by one of my favourite actors at the moment, Erin Doherty, who seems to be in everything right now. Catherine Parr is played by Alicia Vikander, who I suspect is rather prettier than the standard Tudor women.
I believe that I was chosen by God to get the king to change his will. You have to go. If they find you here,
We would have to have their head cut off.
I'm sure you would come up with something much more creative.
Sometimes we think you know us better than we know ourselves.
Unlike, it has to be said, the Tudor men in Firebrand. Leading from the front, the usually dashing Jude Law is garbed in a lumpy fat suit, a beard that seems to have got away from him, and I'm told a particularly revolting scent he applied to Henry's festering leg ulcer. The idea being to get the other actors to recoil from him appropriately. Couldn't they have tried acting, perhaps?
Dave! Dave! Take the horse.
I'm sorry. What? I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. She was a friend from childhood. Confused me. Forgive me.
Don't question us. And don't speak of our soul.
But in fact, most of the men would be hard pushed to do much acting under all that facial hair. Concessions may have been made for the women in Firebrand, but the men are all so authentically bearded, they look like they're auditioning for a ZZ Top biopic. Only Simon Russell Beale as the nefarious Bishop Gardner seems to have turned down the beard department shrubbery in favour of something a bit more homegrown.
We trusted you, Catherine, and you're flirting with the radicals. It could endanger the stability of this realm.
You don't want any harm to come to me. You don't want to hurt me.
No, never.
The gist of the story, I believe mostly accurate, is while Henry seceded from the Catholic Church to marry Anne Boleyn all those queens ago, neither he nor the bishop wanted to go full Protestant. This way lay heresy, as the Queen well knew.
What precisely are you implying? My conscience is clear. God will never have intended for anything to stand between him and his people, not a bishop, not a priest, not even a king.
Then you will burn.
But underneath any story of the period is how awful Bluff King Hal was. For centuries, British children were brought up on the one adjective approach to their kings and queens. Henry VIII generally got two, a good king and a bad man. He helped get England back on its feet, I gather, but he was also unquestionably a ruthless tyrant and a terrifying presence at home.
Is she more vicious than all the others? We've been here before. Been here before. And we cut you down! We cut them down! We cut them down!
Even played by Jude Law, Firebrand's Henry is impossible to like or even sympathise with. By the film's end, he gets an appropriate, if unlikely, end, and the winners, in a postscript, turn out to be Catherine Parr and, of course, the later Queen Elizabeth.
Do you believe in hell? I think we're both bound for it. I'm ready. Are you?
Firebrand is a bit of a slog and frankly not as much fun as you'd like it to be, but if you're curious about how the last of Henry's wives ended up with more influence than the other five put together and can get past the unnecessary acres of beardage, Firebrand is worth a look. Which brings this show to a close. I'm Simon Morris and I hope you'll join me at the movies same time next week.